Hurricane Helene, extremely dangerous, Category 4. It's more than 400 miles across, pushing a storm surge that officials are calling unsurvivable, is now hitting Florida's Gulf Coast. As much as 20 feet of water forecast along the shore south of Tallahassee, which itself is expected to take a direct blow. Some coastal areas already flooding. Take a look, live pictures right now from Gulfport and Tampa on the right. Interstate 275. President Biden this evening urged anyone in the storm's path to take it extremely seriously. A lot of water there, certainly there in Gulfport especially. Emergency managers in Florida's Taylor County are telling people choosing to stay, and there are people choosing to stay, to write their name and date of birth on a leg to help identify their bodies. Storm warnings are now in effect as far north as Charlotte, North Carolina. We've got CNN correspondents all along the places now in harm's way, and Chad Myers in the CNN Weather Center. Let's start with CNN meteorologist Derek Van Dam, who is in Apalachicola. What are you seeing there, Derek?
Anderson, the conditions, as one would expect, have gone down exponentially quick here in Apalachicola, near the Big Bend of Florida. We're going to remain on the west side of the eye of the storm. We know that is, of course, the most powerful, but because of the size of the storm, there is no doubt that we will feel extreme impacts here where we're standing, and points further east as well. The storm, the bottom is literally dropping out from itself. It is strengthening, and it is expanding in size as it does so. We were looking at some of the wind radiuses, so how far out the tropical storm force winds extend, over 400 miles in diameter. The hurricane force winds extend over 100 miles. So it's like having a tornado move through, once the strongest part of the storm comes ashore, move through a 100-mile wide space. That's the kind of ferocity that this storm is going to come in with, and the catastrophic winds that we are anticipating with it. Now, the Big Bend, this catcher's mitt of Florida, is so vulnerable to the storm surge. So all of that water is going to be pushed up onshore, and the wordage from the National Weather Service of unsurvivable storm surge values, well, that's what 20 feet will do. That is the size of 2 stories high. In fact, we're on the second floor of this building here. That would just not be a survivable storm surge. Fortunately for us, on the west side, the winds will be coming offshore, so maybe, just maybe, that will help limit the storm surge potential here. Now, I'm trying to put it into perspective for our viewers, Anderson, what it's like to ride out an approaching Category 4 hurricane that's strengthening. And we get these all too familiar hurricane sounds, almost the roar of a train approaching the area. We get pelted with these strong wind gusts. It feels like someone's taking a pressure washer to your face. But then, of course, there's the flickering lights. I cannot believe we still have electricity. But in our safe space that we have here in our Airbnb that we rented in Apalachicola, we're feeling the brunt of the storm, and it's becoming difficult to even open the doors. So that just gives you an idea of what people here are going to have to deal with tonight. The flash flood potential is considerable. The chance of waterspouts and tornadoes is real. The storm surge threat is palpable, and of course it doesn't just stop at the coast. We know how fast the storm's moving, and that means it's going to bring the hurricane force winds inland at pace overnight. Unfortunately, the sun is set, so people have to endure these terrible conditions in the dark of night. Anderson?
Derek, we'll check in with you throughout this hour. I want to go a little further south. CNN's Carlos Suarez, who's been dodging high waters and joins us now by phone. Carlos, where are you and what are you seeing?
Yeah, Anderson, so we are right now in St. Petersburg. We began the day a little bit, about 15, 20 minutes to the south and the west of St. Pete. We were in Gulfport. That is a city in Pinellas County that really is known to flood. And we began the day there having covered 2 other hurricanes the last couple of years where we knew that specific neighborhood, because it's a low-lying area, was going to flood. The problem that we ran into is that around 2, 3, 4 o'clock this afternoon, as that hurricane continued to make its way just west of us, but continued to make that track north, it really brought with it some strong winds, some intense rain, but more than anything else, it started really pushing all of the water from the bay right out onto Gulfport. And so what we ended up seeing was about 4 feet of storm surge in a matter of hours. And where we were, it just really became unsafe for us to stay there. And so we decided to move a few blocks north, where the water hadn't reached just yet. But then our team of meteorologists told us, look, at this point, because the storm is still to the west of you and it still has to track north, and because of the sheer size of it, you're probably going to get another 4 feet of storm surge. So you really need to get out of there. So we left Gulfport and we were going to try to get back over into Tampa in Hillsborough County, because that area is a little bit more inland, although that is also under a mandatory evacuation, at least some parts along the bay. However, all of the bridges that currently connect Pinellas County to the Tampa area have been closed because of the strong winds and some of the flooding. There's one bridge that takes you south into Bradenton. That also closed earlier this afternoon. And so if you're in Pinellas County and you didn't evacuate, chances are you're pretty much stuck at home right now because you cannot get inland. And so we're in the process right now of trying to find a safe location that we can go live from. But as you've covered many of hurricanes, you know that's not as easy of a task considering how these storms can change, and more importantly, just the direction of the floods.
Carlos Suarez, we'll check in with you again. The National Hurricane Center just put out a new bulletin. The language in it is sobering for that. Let's go to Chad Myers in the CNN Weather Center. Chad, first of all, what is the latest on this?
130 miles per hour. It did ramp up a little bit over the past couple of hours, but it did not go up between 7 and 8 p.m. Now, normally, Anderson, we get these updates every 6 hours and a new track and all that. But when a storm gets very close, the Hurricane Center does it every single hour. So here's what we see. Here's what we see. Here's what the Hurricane Hunter just found. So we're ramped up to 130. That is the bottom end of a Category 4, but it is a major hurricane, and it has arms all the way into central Florida. It's going to go all the way with a hurricane warning to Macon, Georgia. It would take 3 hours to drive there from Apalachicola to Macon, and that's how long this is going to have hurricane force winds. Where's it the worst right now? Likely from Newport Richey and around Clearwater all the way up to Hudson in Florida. Anytime you get one of these bands, and Anderson, you know it well, in between the bands, the wind kind of dies off. When you get one of these heavier bands, the outer bands, then the winds pick up. So I'm thinking probably on land, we're probably seeing 70 to 75 miles per hour as the max wind right now. But the storm isn't close to shore yet, and it won't get close to shore for another, let's say, 3 or 4 hours. The closer it gets, the more the winds will go up. And likely we'll have winds around Perry, Florida, around 115 miles per hour for a gust, without a doubt. We are going to see a lot of rainfall. It's already been raining. Flash flood warnings are already in effect. Here is the hurricane warning. There's Atlanta and Macon. You can look at a map how far it is from way down here where it's going to be landfalling. And that's how long it's going to take to cycle down. Remember, we always say, hey, it's going to hit land, it's going to die. This thing is moving so quickly, when it hits land, it isn't going to die. It's just going to keep right on going. And that's what's causing a lot of this surge as well. And Derek will get surge in Apalachicola, St. Mark's, absolutely. Cedar Key, without a doubt. And all the way along this little hook area through here, that's 15 to 20 feet. That's talking about the unsurvivability. That's why. If you're 6 feet tall, you got a wave or water over you, another 14 feet above you, you're not going to survive that. So that's why they're talking like that.
What time is it expected to make actual landfall, and like where do you think it will make landfall?
I think it will make landfall very close to St. Mark's. The good news about this area is from about Apalachicola and then just points a little bit farther to the east all the way down to about Hudson. There's just a lot of natural land there, kind of mangrove areas, not a lot of beach areas.
Chad,
can you go to the beach?
Chad,
no,
I'm
you
sorry,
can't, because there's no beach there.
I just got to talk to you about these pictures from out of Tampa, Florida. I mean,
yeah,
these are people driving on the highway. The water, I mean, it's just pouring over onto that highway. These are incredible images.
Is this live?
I don't think so. This is video. This is from earlier.
Well, this was still horrible to be doing something like this. They got caught where they thought they were going to get over this bridge or this causeway in time, and they did not. That is, well, not good for your life, and certainly not good for your car driving through.
These are now live
like
images also from Tampa. I'm not sure which road this on. I'll try to find out, but it's I-275.
That's on the way to Skyway, yeah. So the water obviously coming over the top of that. No cars have been on this now for quite a few hours. It was shut down as soon as the wind got to 60 miles per hour. They said, you're done. Nobody over the top of that bridge anymore. So.
Anyway, I'm
glad,
sorry.
because
I'm
look
sorry
at that.
I interrupted. I mean, Helene's expected to break
okay.
records in some areas, right?
Oh, without a doubt. There will be more trees and power lines down in Tallahassee, in Valdosta, in Lake City than they have ever seen before, without a doubt. From Thomaston, all the way down even to about Savannah, probably more power outages from a Gulf landing storm than an Atlantic landing storm, because the winds in Savannah, Tybee, all the way down to Jekyll Island, your winds off that ocean are going to be 80, 85. It's a big storm. This is tropical storm from South Carolina to south of Tampa. That's what we're seeing in about 2 or 3 hours as this storm continues to move to the north. A large area, and you're going to have to be very patient. There will be so many millions of power lines down and customers without power. This is going to take a long time, because you can't just put 5,000 crew in one city. You have to try to spread them out. There's so many people going to be without power.